Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans tonight with Keith Bulluck, presented by, of course, Pinnacle Financial Partners. Visit titansbanking.com to learn about their convenient mobile banking. Pinnacle Financial Partners, member FDIC. Hello, everyone. I'm Amie Wells. Rhett Bryan is here, of course. Rhett, how are you?
Great. And you?
I'm spectacular. And Keith Bulluck is here.
Yo, I'm here.
You sure are.
on?
How you doing, KB?
Doing great. How's everyone?
Everybody is good.
New week.
New week, exciting week. The Titans are getting ready to take on the Seattle Seahawks at home in game 2 of the 3-week stretch of home games at Nissan Stadium. It's been a lot of fun. If you were out last week for the Titans game against Houston, you're welcome because it was a beautiful day. I mean, the weather outside that I just took credit for was absolutely phenomenal. Like, you couldn't have picked a better day to just be outdoors, let alone at a football game. It was cool, but it was warm. There was a gentle breeze. It was lovely. And on top of that, you got some decent football. It was a good game.
Yes. By the way, you're going to get a repeat of excellent weather Sundays.
Are we really?
Yeah, sunny and 66.
Yay.
Sunny and 66 on Sunday. You're going to have some rain the rest of this week, but yeah.
Yay, yay, yay.
Yes.
So if you were planning on coming out to Nissan Stadium, or I guess if you were not planning on coming out to Nissan Stadium, you should, because being out there when the weather is so lovely, we don't get many of those. But fall in Nashville is the best.
It's undefeated.
I mean, there's no place in the world with a better fall.
I will be there for sure.
Yeah? Coming out.
I'd say it's like 90%.
Well, it's going to
I
be
have all
lovely.
intent to be there on Sunday.
Well, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Intent counts.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's recap Houston just really quick. Titans fall to the Houston Texans, but, man, I mean, Rhett, that was a game where you walked out of there going, ugh. Gut-wrenching to lose, but also you felt good about some of the things you saw in the field.
Yeah, it stings way more to lose a game in that fashion with such a tight score separation than a boat race, a blowout, whatever you want to call it. It just does. They were in it right up until the end until they weren't in it. And there are teachable moments and learning lessons from all of it. Cam Ward able to engineer a 95-yard drive to tie that thing up. He'd be the first person to tell you he didn't do good enough. He wasn't good enough. He wants to get better. A couple of throws he'd like to have back that he missed to Mason Kinsey that could have been explosive plays because they only had 2 X plays out of their top 10 longest plays in this. Defense played really well and kept you in all of it throughout. Special teams does it what it has been doing and being excellent there. It stings. Just that simple.
Yeah, you have those games. But on that Mason Kinsey, I was kind of worried. You know, the communication kind of was the thing for me because on the one to the pylon, he's run. I don't know if he turned back inside, where if you're running a 7, you're going to keep running it, and it seemed that's where Cam threw it. So that's why I say the communication, and definitely there was another opportunity with that. But I love the 95-yard drive, right? Okay, you have an opportunity. Let's see what the offense has. Let's see how, the poise and composure is. And I like the fact that when he needed to dial it in, he hit Chig on that nice pass.
Oh, my. One of his best passes of the year, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those things that we, it's been said, but we've been able to see all year. Cam is a gamer. He definitely is going to get out there, and when he's in the right situations, he's going to come close. And he's 50-50 right now, so he's going to come close, and he's going to make plays too, what you expect of a rookie. And things I just like the upside of the Titans offense and Cam Ward.
Now, we know there's no moral victories here. Like, a win is a win, a loss is a loss. We get it. However, you've got to walk out of a game like that, especially with the fourth quarter being what it was, and think, okay, maybe we've got something here, or maybe not.
I mean, look, like you say, there's no moral victories, and, the Texans have had 4 wins coming into this game, but that's a game you got to win.
Yeah.
You know, we heard Jeffrey Simmons after the game. We heard other players after the game. That's a game you have to win. You're that close. You got to be able to put it away. You got to do things throughout the course of that game to put you in a better position at the end. And, you know, let's, like Jeffrey said, man, look, offense got to be more on point. You know, there's times where defense isn't going to make the stop. The offense, boom, get the points, get the first downs. Or even if you're playing against a tough defense, sustain some drives. So, you know, even if you have to punt, you know, 3 first downs, you still might have to punt in this league, you know, and this team isn't really going for it on 4th down. You know, that's kind of complimentary. And then when you talk about adding the special teams and all of those things, so when people hear Jeffrey saying complimentary football, they do at times. I think it's more about being more consistent when they do it, and that will lead to, you know, a win in their favor, maybe 20-16, or, you know, Houston has to come back because of some things they did correct throughout the course of the game.
Couple things. You're right, and this is probably the closest thing to a 4-quarter complimentary football. I mean, for about 59 minutes, they're in that thing. And couple things. One takeaway of the bad stuff, the mental errors, the self-inflicted stuff. I mean, 5 false starts on the offensive line, those kinds of things. That's what really stands out when you lose one by 3 or less. It wasn't even a full score. The good takeaway is I liked how quickly that Cam Ward was getting rid of the football, knowing that the Wolves are at the door. It was his fastest time with time to throw in his career so far, 2.6 seconds average. And early in that ball game, it was like 2.25 seconds, Keith, knowing that 51 and 55 are coming. And I'd like to see that carry over and that sense of urgency come every week now, because it's going to be a different set of challenges. We're going to talk about Seattle's defense, which is very good, but it's a different animal than what they saw last week.
Right. And, you know, it's week 12, 13. It's longer, you know, it's longer in the season right now. You know, of course, he's a rookie, but he's at the tail end of his rookie year.
Yep.
So some of those things that he wasn't doing, that he was doing, like you said, holding the ball, he's had enough time to watch film. He's got hit enough times to understand that in this league, you got to get the ball off. I'm sure Coach Callahan was saying it week in and week out. Now Mike McCoy is saying it week in and week out. So that being said, it's finally starting to lock in for him. And, like, I'm interested. That's something I'm going to watch this week, because as a player, especially when you're young, I always remember Greg Williams saying, don't be a repeat offender. You know, it's all right to make mistakes, but
Once.
don't make the same mistake twice.
Right.
And that's really the standard of the NFL. If you want to play for a long time, there are definitely some plays that you give up as a defender, as on offense, as whatever position you play. But you have to learn from that and be able to stack plays and not go back to that same mistake.
Are the things that seem like repeat offenses, like guys making the same mistake or groups making the same mistakes over and over, part of what's causing some of the frustration that we saw after the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, to J.C. Latham had to go. He had his hands full, you know, and we don't necessarily know how healthy he is. We know he's not 100%. I'm not making excuses for him, but at the same time, I can, his false starts, they're not warranted, but you can read a little bit into that. And I just think that the group needs to kind of hold each other accountable, you know, and I think that they will this week. And everybody's has bad outings, bad days at work, but when it's 16-13 and you're 1-8 and you're this close, I think this is when young teams find out that every inch counts.
A couple other things. On Cam, I also appreciate the way that he finally, when the moment presented itself, took the ball and ran with it and extended plays and drives. That's huge in this, to go with that, getting rid of the ball quickly. And, basically having 2 seconds to figure out what's what. J.C. Latham, yes, the false starts were bad. What gets lost in this? He had a really good game outside of those penalties. He had one pressure in 17 pass rush attempts from Will Anderson on his side, and no pressures and no sacks in the other 27 pass rush reps in this. So
Wow.
there's some numbers there that stand out. But what is left in memory is the mistakes that stalled drives and things.
Yeah, stalls drives and puts them behind the chains, and that's great, right? This week, I hope he grades out the same way, minus
The penalties.
Exactly. So
Completely clean game.
Yeah, that
Perfect
just
game,
shows
right?
the growth of
Right.
JC, and what that will start to tell his teammates is like, he is a guy we can count on. He does care. We know he cares. You know what I mean? But he is a guy we can count on, and to correct the mistakes and go out there and play even better.
Individual growth, I think, is something that gets lost in all of this because everybody wants to see improvement as a whole, improvement overall, score more points, have less penalties, do bigger things because, it's a team sport. But individual growth week after week for each player is part of the measuring stick too, right? Especially when you have such a young team, like seeing every individual player progress, even if it's not resulting in the wins, which you want,
Right.
you're still taking steps in the right direction, right?
Yeah, if you have a first or second year guy who, ran the wrong route or, missed a tackle or took the wrong angle the previous week, you don't want to see that the next week. If in a situation right now that the Titans are in, they might have to put up with some of that because they're thin. They don't have as much depth. So for those guys, they have to learn on the fly. And all those guys are doing, if they're keep being repeat offenders, they're not going to be here much longer. So individually, when you're out there, especially it's easy during the week when you have an opponent. They're playing Seattle this week. You get your assignments. Lock in on your assignments. When you're on the football field, are you joking in between practices? Or are you going to look at the script for what's coming up next? Or are you maximizing your time? Are you going in, getting in a hot tub, getting your workout, whatever you have to do, watching the film before practice, and then watching the film with the coach? Are you doing all those things? Because if you're not really – you're okay with just being mediocre. You're not trying to be great. You have to be on a path to greatness to even be good,
All right. Well, when we come back, Rhett has some Rhett Nuggies about Cam Ward, but he's not telling me what they're about.
These are mystery nuggies.
They're
Rhett Nugs.
mystery nuggets. So stick around for that. I don't know what else to tell you except for it's going to be fun on the other side of this break right here on Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight. Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight continues on. Rhett Bryan's here. Keith Bulluck is here. I am Amie Wells, and we are going to talk about Cam Ward allegedly. I do not know what is going to come out of this segment, but I know that Rhett has a special brand of Rhett Nuggies just for us. So, Rhett, I'm just going to let you take it away because I don't even know what I'm pitching to.
So here's the thing. Cam Ward has faced the toughest defensive first 10 games of a rookie quarterback season for the number one overall pick in about the last half dozen, 6, 7 top number one overall pick quarterbacks in previous years in drafts.
Oh.
And what got this rolling once I said, you know what, let's look at another quarterback and see in recent history what their first 10 games were like versus Cam and the difference in the competition that this person faced. So I'm going to give you season stats so far through the first 10 games of Cam Ward and also this mystery quarterback I will reveal in just a moment. The first set of numbers, passing 194 yards out of 332 attempts. 1,954 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a completion percentage of 58.4%, and sacked 41 times.
41 times?
Yes.
Whoa.
That's that other
This
the
is
mystery quarterback?
This is, I'm just giving you, so that is one quarterback in this conversation. Could be Cam Ward, also could be someone else.
Could be mystery quarterback.
And here is someone who is also a first overall pick in his first 10 starts in the National Football League. And this quarterback went 201 of 325 for 2,016 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 4 fumbles, and sacked 41 times, just like Cam Ward?
Are we guessing, or are you just?
You can guess if you'd like.
I'm not gonna guess. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm not gonna get it.
Are we guessing? No. All right, that first set of numbers I told you, that's just under 2,000 yard passing, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 58.4% completion percentage, sacked 41 times. That is Cam Ward through his first 10 games.
Okay.
But you heard how similar those numbers are.
Like
with
really
the second
similar.
one. So the second one was 201 out of 325 for 2,016 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a little better there, but also sacked 41 times and lost 4 fumbles. And that is last year's number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears.
Really?
So the trajectory
So
is.
think about this. And more than just those numbers, they both have that in common. They were first overall pick.
Yeah.
And if you'll remember, Caleb Williams, his head coach, Matt Eberflus, was fired after week 12. They lost on Thanksgiving Day to the Detroit Lions, and he was let go the next day, I do believe.
Yeah.
And this is a team that they didn't win a lot of ball games last year. In fact, they had one point in that stretch where they lost 10 in a row, the Bears did. And also, like Cam Ward is now under an interim head coach. And they both had general managers who have worked together and both have had number 1 overall picks. Ryan Poles used to work with Mike Borgonzi, and they both have had number 1 overall picks. And you look at what Ryan Poles has done to construct that roster through free agency and the draft, and they're winning ball games now. Because if you flash forward to now, here's Caleb Williams' numbers through 10 games in his sophomore season.
Okay.
He's still 59.7% completion percentage, which is interesting. 2,329 yards passing, 13 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions, and he's only been sacked 16 times.
Wow.
Okay,
And
Caleb.
they're also 7-3. They're winning ball games.
Okay, Caleb.
So, and you're talking about a roster that in 2024 with the Bears was actually better than what we have with the Titans right now, if you look at the personnel part of this. So it hit me the other day. I was like, I wonder what Caleb Williams looked like through the first 10 games. I bet it's pretty close, and it was even closer than I thought. And
It's
this is
almost identical.
Caleb Williams. He saw Tennessee's defense in week 1. Houston, legit in week 2. Get that. L.A. Rams in week 4. Get that. But he also saw Carolina. He also saw Arizona, New England, Green Bay. Anyway, Cam Ward, think about this. Now, Cam Ward has seen Indy twice, and they're legit.
Yep.
He's seen Houston twice. They're legit, and they're 5-5. He has seen the Rams defense, the Denver Broncos defense, the New England defense, and the Chargers defense.
Yeah.
Every one of these teams, except for the Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders, are having winning records. The Broncos are 9-2, Rams 8-2, Indy 8-2, Houston 5-5, New England 9-2, Chargers 7-4.
Yeah.
So, what a wild thing to look at as to what could be down the road as we watch Cam Ward grow. And I thought there were moments where Cam Ward grew in that loss to the Houston Texans last Sunday.
Yeah. It's interesting to see the parallels not only in terms of the stats and what they were doing on the field, but similar situations with coaching changes and similar situations with
A lot of common threads there.
yeah,
They
the
had a head coaching change
competition
in their rookie year, and the general managers both had first overall picks and used to work with each other. And, I mean, there's a lot of commonalities there.
Bully, your thoughts?
I like the comparison, and it kind of shows that, look, there's a correlation, and don't get your panties in a bunch, Titans fans.
And and I'm glad you said that, because you have every right to say it, because you are a Titans legend in this. But it's true. And the thing is, when things aren't going well and you have the record the Titans have, everyone's mad about everything. Mm-hmm. And started to hear about Cam Ward should do this, and Cam, whoa. He's playing the hardest position there is to play in professional sports. And a lot of stuff's been thrown at him, and if you're the number 1 overall pick, you're going to go through some fire.
Yes, sir.
It's happened to so many others. But I was like, it's only 10 games. Let's give this guy a fair shake.
Yeah.
And let's see where we are. And Caleb Williams was the very interesting example.
And only 10 games, like you said, all the different adversities that he had to go through that didn't even have to do anything with him. And for him to go out there week in and week out, and what I love is, he understands it's a process. He's actually seems as if, even though 1-9, he's enjoying the process a little bit, because every time I see him speak, he's always positive. He always has things to say about himself. He starts with himself, and then he goes to areas where he knows and sees that they can clean up. And I know that first things first, man, as a professional in anything, and you're looked at as one of the leaders, you got to look at yourself. It starts with the man in the mirror, and then you can move on to everything else. So, like I said before, I'm very optimistic on, how this Titans offense can move forward in the future. And really right now, it's about everybody that's out there getting reps and maximizing their talent and their ability to help this team win some games.
Cam, he's said some really interesting things at his availabilities in recent days. One of which, this week, someone asked him about how do you keep from the locker room from being contentious and pointing fingers. First of all, there's no indication of that, because they came this close to putting a W in the left column in this. There's fight that's there. It's the finish is the deal. They got to get to the finish part of this. But they said, how do you do that? Well, you be the same guy that you were the first day you walked in. You hold yourself accountable as, and as well as your teammates. And your teammates will hold, vice versa, hold everyone accountable. But you're there, and you're not worried about the outside noise. You guys are all going to war together. You're the foxhole buddy, and hellfire's raining down on you, and you have to go to war together. Right. That's all you've got is each other.
And the whole locker room thing, the locker room is going to be torn apart. Like, I've never been a part of a locker room that was frayed. I've been on some very bad teams, and I've been on some teams where the offense cost us the games and the defense may have cost us more that season, and the offense may have costed us more than the defense. But either way, the way it works, you might say, so I remember clear as day, Justin McCarron, Drew Bennett, Eddie Berlin, former wide receivers, when they were young, having to play like some of these guys are having to play right now, very distinctly telling them, catch the ball, like with more explicatives than that. They're coming off the field. If I'm coming off, they're coming off the field with their head down. I'm like, man, catch the damn ball, man. Catch it, to the point where they got sick of hearing that, And for me, there's no carryover into the locker room, because I was telling them to catch the ball. You're catching the ball in practice. Concentrate enough to catch the ball in the game when it counts, when we need it. And those guys became good players in the NFL, but with younger players, sometimes the older players have to call them out. You have to hold them accountable, and that stuff doesn't come into the locker room. In the locker room, you're more yourself. You're more yourself. You're not competing. You're not in a competitive, mind state. You're kind of just yourself at work. And 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, if you had some words with a teammate on the field or during the game or after, emotions are high, that's when you kind of just hash it out, like talk it out. When I say hash it out, that's when you be like, oh, my bad, dog. Or not even my bad. It's like, yo,
you knew what I meant. Here's what I meant. And it came from a place where I want only the best for you.
Yeah, and you have those talks. You know, this is what I expect. So there's no fraying of locker rooms. It's more like, I don't want to talk about other people's kitchens, but it seems like, if anything, somewhere like Miami, like we saw a few weeks ago, when Tua got up there and is talking about, hey, some guys aren't showing up. Of course, man. You're telling the media what's going on in the locker room.
You don't air that at that podium.
Yeah.
Right.
You talk in those four walls that you share those guys with, right?
So when you start hearing things like that, then you might want to question things in the locker room.
Right.
But everybody is expected to do their job week in and week out. The Titans don't finish, and now it's starting to be time to finish.
How does that dynamic change when the leader on the offensive side of the ball and one of the main leaders of the team overall is a rookie player and is still learning a lot about being a professional athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I've said that on here before. I wouldn't have put that on Cam Ward just for the simple fact that, yeah, it's great, but for what you just asked, what does he know about the NFL? What does he know about the different adversities? He's already the leader of the team. And look, I always say you don't have to have a C on your chest to be a captain. You know, I've been on teams where I wasn't a captain and I was one of the leaders. I've been on teams where there were other people that weren't captains and they were looked at as leaders. So, you know, that's a big patch to wear, you know, and he's learning on the job.
The reason I brought that up about this first 10-game sample comparison with Caleb Williams and Cam Ward is to know that, and it's going to lead right into what we're going to do in the next segment, talking about the next opponent with the Seahawks. Coach Mack always talks to us about guys having time on task, which especially in the quarterback position is important. And as a prime example of that this Sunday, as the opponent lines up, it is Sam Darnold, who is on team number 4 or whatever it is. I mean, he's had stop. He was drafted by the Jets. He was in Carolina for a minute. He had this very valuable year with the Minnesota Vikings that ended up in a huge payday for him and being a top free agent acquisition, and has played good ball. He had a bump in the road Sunday against the Rams, but it's time on task. So I'm excited to see what Cam Ward does going forward this week and every week after.
All right, well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have more Rhett Nuggies, and they are going to be of the Seattle variety. So stick around. Welcome back to Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight with Keith Bulluck. Bryan's here. I'm Amie Wells. I'm here, too. If you want more information on Titans banking from Pinnacle, visit titansbanking.com for all the details. Member FDIC, of course. Rhett has more Rhett Nuggies. These ones are straight from Seattle. They are maybe a little more, I don't know. I can't think of any ways to describe chicken or nuggets.
Yeah, because
like,
there's the seafood market out there, so it doesn't really jive.
I was going to say they're more like fish sticks, but that felt weird, and so I didn't. Anyway, we have some information here about the Seahawks because it feels like even though we have seen them fairly recently and a couple times in recent years, it feels like they're still a relatively unfamiliar opponent. I'm guessing just because they're an NFC team that's kind of far away.
And that's the part that gets lost in this is if you aren't following the NFC as much, and in this case the NFC West, their division, it kind of gets lost out there because they have to fly everywhere, super long way. And
what an inconvenient place to live if you're going to be an NFL team. Like,
I agree.
I mean, Seattle's beautiful, and I loved when we went up there, and it's a great place to live. But, like, geez Louise, it's hard to get everywhere.
Well, think about it. When we would go there on the Titans charter, it was like 5 hours and change, direct flight, no stops.
And that's just like, and we're one team. We're not even the farthest one away.
No, because they played the AFC South this year. They played Jacksonville. They flew from coast to coast diagonally.
I mean, how long is that flight, you think? 6 hours?
Gotta be.
7?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It'd be like flying to London.
It's like going to Europe at that point just to play a game in the same country. That's bananas.
I played there with the Giants, and that's with the 12th man was big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Coach Coughlin, he gave, it was a real thing because the speech he gave us as a team, like going out there, it was probably one of the more memorable speeches that I like pregame, before we even left speeches to get our mind right, that I've been a part of. So yeah, it's like one of those things that you have to really be locked in because everything we're saying, right? It's like a flight to London. It's like 6 hours away. Then you got to stretch and, recalibrate, and then you got to lock back in the football, and then you play the 3 o'clock game typically when you play out there. So it's a process.
And it is
the
loud.
Noise, yes. Yeah. Lumen Field is notoriously loud. They tout and claim it's the loudest place in the league. I would argue that Arrowhead on a good day is pretty dang loud.
Yeah.
But Yeah, there's a lot of things to deal with geographically and audio-wise.
Yep.
So they're 7-3 in that division, and they are pretty much a complete football team in terms of playing complementary football. We mentioned in the last segment of Titans tonight about quarterback Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold comes off of probably his worst game as a Seahawk against that Rams defense. He had 4 interceptions in that thing, and that's going to be one of the keys to this is now that Jeffrey Simmons is back, Arden Key is back, Tavondre Sweat keeps, clogging things up and moving things up in the front of this, and Cody Barton does his thing, and Cedric Gray as well. That's one of the keys is if you can get after him, you can affect his play. You really, truly can. And when he is not pressured is when he will pick you apart. So looking at his stuff already this year, 2,541 yards, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And keep in mind, 4 of those came last week. But here's the thing. He's only been sacked 10 times. He gets rid of the football. And he has weaponry at his disposal with this. It starts with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yikes.
One of the many Ohio State wide receivers littered throughout the National Football League. And he's the guy. 1,146 yards, 5 touchdowns, averaging almost 16 yards a catch. Now, Bully was going, I'm sure he's sitting there going, you have 16 yards a catch. That's great. What does he have, 30 catches? No, 72.
Nah, he's a beast.
That's a legit 16 yards per catch. And then A.J. Barner, the tight end, is getting more and more involved. Cooper Kupp, they traded for. He does his part. Elijah Arroyo, the rookie tight end from Miami, Cam's former teammate in college. And then we haven't even discussed the run game of this. And it's Kenneth Walker III. It's Zach Charbonnet. Both of those gentlemen, 10 touchdowns and nearly 1,000 yards between the two of them. They operate quite well on offense.
That's crazy. It's excuse me. It's wild to think about all of the different weapons that they have. Talk about the Sam Darnold of it all a little bit, because we saw Ernest Jones get very aggressive about Sam Darnold and some of the things that are being said about his inconsistencies as of late and the frustrating game that they had this past week. But overall, his numbers don't necessarily back up that he's not having a good season, right?
No, it was just he had a 4 interception game. That's what he was getting angry at is that, listen, if you think for a minute that this thing doesn't go through his hands, you're out of your mind. He said it in more colorful words.
I mean, he said words we are not allowed to say on this show.
Correct. This is a family program.
Yeah.
But just looking at their offense in this, so first of all, Sam Darnold, number 1 in the NFL right now in passing yards per play, just over 9 yards per play. That's nearly a first down every time he throws the ball. Wow. They're number 6 in yards, number 3 in yards per play, 6.17. So you're talking about one play, second play, new set of downs. One play, second play, new set of downs. They are number 6 in punt return and number 9 in kickoff return average. So there's the complementary part of it. They're the number 3 scoring offense in the league at just under 30 points per game. The place where it's weird is they're -7 in the turnover ratio, and that's because 4 of those just happened against a very good Rams defense. But so getting after him and trying to bottle up those 2 backs in the run game is where one of those keys to this thing for the Titans begins. And again, I'm so glad that Jeffrey Simmons is back, Arden Key is back. They accounted for 7 pressures last Sunday and 3 of the 4 quarterback sacks against Davis Mills in this. You could tell they were back and hungry and ready to roll.
Good players make plays.
Yeah, I think to follow up what Rhett said about Sam Darnold, I think he's an easy target just because of how his career has gone, right?
Yeah.
He's bounced around. He's locked in Seattle, but everyone's looking for something to say why you're not who you've been. They play the Rams 2 times a year. These coaches get paid a lot of money for a reason. They're going to figure you out at some point, and they just got figured out. Sam Darnold didn't have a great game for whatever reason. Game plans go into that, and Titans will have to hopefully, look at that Rams game plan and put their own game plan in. This is a copycat league, but the Seattle understands the mistakes they made, so they're adjusting for those things. So I look forward to see how the Titans approach this from a defensive standpoint. Obviously, Big Jeff and Travangeli out there, you got to stop the run, make them one-dimensional. But everything that you just said makes me go to the secondary. I feel like there's going to have to be big secondary play this week because Titans do a well job of stopping the run. They do running back by committee in Seattle. But that Jackson Smith and Jigba, man,
he's ridiculous.
He is. Definitely is.
You're right about Sam Darnold. He gets unfairly talked about. He's 3 teams removed from the kid that he was when he was drafted by the New York Jets.
Was he one overall? I know he was like top 5. I looked it up.
Yeah, he was top 5. I can't remember if he was 1 overall. Either way, right. He's 3 teams removed from that. He got my attention when he was traded to the Carolina Panthers. I can't remember. He's either cut and signed there or traded there.
Yeah.
One of the two. He started out 4-0 with them that one year, and then he got injured. The next thing you know, he's on the shelf and all this stuff. But he's completing 70% of his passes this late in the season. So he's not chopped liver in this. Now, this Seahawks defense, it's different from what the Titans saw a week ago. There's no Daniil Hunter and there's no Will Anderson Jr. It's a committee effort in this. They have quarterback sacks littered throughout this. Uchenna Nwosu is the leading quarterback sacker, but they do it. And you heard Mike McCoy talk about this in his availability this week. Very good coach, very good scheme, great players who understand all of those things, and it works together. Their pressure rate and success rate of pressuring the quarterback nearly as high as what we saw and talked about last week with the Houston Texans.
Sam Darnold was draft pick number 3 of the 2018 draft. Number 1, Baker Mayfield. Number 2, Saquon Barkley. Sam Darnold was number 3. The Titans selected at 22, and they picked Rashaan Evans.
Oh, wow. Linebacker from Alabama.
So, you know what's interesting about that? Yeah. The 2 quarterbacks you said, Baker 1, Sam 3, right? They didn't start off going crazy in the league, but right now they are 2. Baker Mayfield, people are talking about MVP, and Sam Darnold has his team 7-3. So I'm pointing out how it's very rare that any quarterback comes into the NFL and is the guy they're going to be the rest of their career.
And that's why Coach Mack always speaks about the time on task, because Baker Mayfield, much like the Sam Darnold story, is on team number 4.
Yeah.
He cut his teeth a little more when he went to Carolina. He had that year, or the rest of the year that he spent with the Rams, and then he's gone to Tampa Bay and done very well for himself.
And then also what is huge with young quarterbacks, right? You can look at Baker Mayfield early, but he was in the classroom with Tom Brady. Yeah. Tom Brady don't have to tell him nothing. It makes a difference when you're in a classroom with a pro as a young quarterback, because it teaches you It teaches you how to go about it. And I know that quarterbacks, these older quarterbacks, are not sitting here telling younger guys, "Oh, this is what you do. Come here and do this." Nah, you better be paying attention. You better be watching what's going on and picking up on it. Because when I'm gone, kid, don't tell me I didn't tell you what to do. You were there. This is professional sports,
Not for nothing, the last pick of the 2018 first round, Lamar Jackson. Also a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, that was
a good choice.
That was Ozzie Newsome's last draft as general manager of the Ravens, and
was.
Traded into the bottom of the first round.
Yep.
That's worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah, it turned
out
okay.
So that's Seattle defense. And just one final thing on them. They are either top 5 to top 10 range in 11 defensive statistical categories for a team defense.
How many are there?
Well, I'm looking at about 15, 20 right here. But number 9 in yards per game.
There's lots.
Number 4 in yards per play. Number 6 in rushing yards per game. Number 5 in rushing yards per play. Number 4 in passing yards per play. Number 8 in sacks per pass attempt. number 6 in kickoff return, number 7 in third down, number 6 in points per game, allowing 19 points per game, number 2 in point differential, number 6 in yardage differential.
You know, those numbers, like between 6, 7, 8, 9, it's probably a matter of 2-3 yards.
Isn't that crazy?
So they're a damn good defense.
Mm-hmm. All
and
right.
another tough one that Cam will face on Sunday.
Absolutely. Another big game coming to Nissan Stadium this Sunday. All right, we've got to take one more quick break, and when we come back, we're wrapping things up right here on Titans Tonight. The final segment of Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight is underway. The Titans are taking on the Seattle Seahawks at Nissan Stadium. Kickoff for that game is at noon. It's going to be a beautiful day, so come on out, watch some football, enjoy the beautiful weather. Rhett, Bryan, you gave us a lot of information about Seattle, and I think that there are a lot of things that can be taken away from that. Give me one or two takeaways for the Tennessee Titans based on what we now have all learned about the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm going to give you something right here. So we've talked all hour about, thank heavens that Jeffrey Simmons and Arden Key are back and, to reinforce this thing. And, we talked about they had 7 quarterback pressures between the 2 of them last week. They accounted for 3 of the 4 quarterback sacks. In fact, Jeffrey Simmons with 26 quarterback pressures, top 5 in the league at his skill position, interior defensive lineman. When that pressure is there, Sam Darnold has issues like a lot of quarterbacks do. Some deal with it better than others. He has a little more trouble, and that was what the Rams defense did to him in that Week 11 game. So here's one for you. Cody Barton has a 46.5 passer rating when targeted in coverage this season, the lowest of any linebacker with 30-plus targets by 15.9 points of a passer rating. His 59.5 completion percentage allowed is the second lowest among that group, and his 3 interceptions are tied for the second most at the position. So, pressure up front. You talked about the secondary. Let's also talk about the second level because Cody Barton and Cedric Gray can eat in that thing as well. And here's very young Kevin Winston Jr., who had 70 snaps, 5.5 tackles, 5 tackles, I believe, and a quarterback pressure of his own and some real starting time in this defense.
Yeah, you threw me off with those analytics, but I just broke it down.
I'm all over the place.
They're playing really good in pass coverage, and those are some guys you can count on. And Cody Barton, it seems like when we say don't be a repeat offender, I feel like every game he does something to make a play. There's a thing, you play your position and you're effective, but there's another thing when you're a playmaker, when you're a difference maker on defense, on offense, and that's what the Titans have been missing on defense. And Cody Barton has definitely been stepping up in that situation because I feel like he got some heat earlier in the year for a play that he missed, and it seems like since then he's been playing a lot freer and kind of just playing the game instead of thinking. He's not being a thinker, and then a lot of other younger guys are getting a lot of reps to kind of learn on the job.
Well, to your point, Cody Barton has even admitted as much that, I'm learning this defense. It's different from what I've been doing before. Yes, I'm a seasoned vet, and I have multiple stops, and I have bring all of these things veteran-wise. But he has been learning like a lot of these guys are learning, first-year guys and certainly rookies.
Yeah, there's nothing like being able to play fast. So him being in a new defense, the little nuances where he can cheat. He got a sack last game because he was an added pressure. He recognized it. And instead of not playing the play this time, he played the play and made a play. And that's how you make plays in this league. You need more of that from him. You need some of that from Cedric Gray as well. It's one thing to be there and make tackles. That's great. That's fine. But next step for him is getting comfortable in the defense where he can know where to cheat or he can know what defenses he can shoot his gun and make plays and so on and so forth. So it's only going to come with experience and confidence that you know what you're doing. And that will give, even the defensive coordinator opportunity to get confidence in his guys out there to make calls that he might 6-7.
Oh, my gosh. I don't even know what that means. All right, the Tennessee Titans getting ready to take on the Seattle Seahawks Sunday again at Nissan Stadium. Kickoff for that game is at noon. And if you want to check out, whatever. Our pregame show, Titans Countdown, is on the air at 11 a.m. Central Time, and you definitely don't want to miss that. For Rhett Bryan, for Keith Bulluck, I'm Amie Wells, thanking you for hanging out with us tonight and listening to this edition of Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight.